Today I'm going to teach you the basics for monitoring and alerting for software projects. So if you work at a startup and you're tired of everything breaking all the time and the only bug reports you're getting are from your customers, this video is for you. So first things first, users should never report an issue before the company knows about it. Let me repeat that. Users should never be reporting issues before the company knows about it, ever. I've said this in front of engineering teams before. How is this possible? I'm gonna go over every metric you should be measuring as a software team to make sure that you know about issues before your customers know about them. First things first, uptime monitoring. I like to call this, is it loading? Now, uptime should be table stakes for any product, but you know what? I'm still surprised how many companies aren't even checking if their website loads. Now, the biggest culprit of this is marketing pages. Oftentimes, marketing websites are separate from the main product's website. So they'll have their own team of engineers, or they'll be a completely different development agency entirely, separate from the other engineers in the company. I once walked by a business analyst frantically trying to bring the homepage up after accidentally crashing it when he installed a WordPress plugin. Now, after that incident, we set up a monitoring tool to check the homepage every few minutes to make sure it was up and running and alert the engineering team if there is any issue. Now, if your website is visited by people in different countries, remember to monitor its uptime in every region you have customers, because it's common for an outage to happen in just one region. So for example, European customers can see your website just fine, but nobody in Asia can, or vice versa. The last thing you want is a call from an angry customer in another part of the world telling you about an issue that you can't even recreate on your part of the world, let alone on your machine. The next thing to monitor is new errors. So I like to call this the does it work? So first we check if it loads, next we check if it works. Once we have uptime monitoring set up, we can set up error monitoring. We want to fix potential issues before they cause an outage in production. I like to treat warnings as errors too, because let's be real, warnings usually point to some really sloppy practices that lead to user issues later. When you first start monitoring errors in a production application, prepare to be humbled. Especially with websites with millions of visitors, expect every edge case you thought would happen while developing that feature on your machine to happen. The next thing to monitor are custom metrics. I like to say this is, does it actually work? Every application is unique and has its own custom business metrics that should be monitored. While working on a personality quiz website at another job that had millions of users, our go-to custom metric was number of people who've answered at least one quiz question. This was after we ran into a bug that prevented users of certain browsers from answering questions. However, the page still loaded and the page still looked fine on end-to-end tests. Now, by pairing this metric with an A/B test, we knew confidently when any new deployment prevented a user from interacting with the website. Finally, we have alerting. Does somebody know when it's broken? Now, if there's no alert, there's not going to be a fix. I've seen well-intentioned teams set up monitoring only to funnel all the alerts to an unchecked Slack channel. Now, to solve this, I always funnel every error message to an on-call rotation tool and make it clear whoever's on call is responsible for triaging every error and escalating it if they're unsure how to fix it. Not only does this mean noisy, false negative error messages get cleaned up pretty quick, but it also solves the responsibility problem. Now, the responsibility problem is when everyone is responsible for something, no one is responsible for something. For operations like tasks, making it clear who's responsible for reactive work for a given period of time is key to making sure it actually gets done. Now, that was the basics for monitoring alerting for any new software organization. Here's some action items for engineers out there right now running into similar issues. I want you to identify a new metric to monitor and alert on and set it up. If you have no monitoring in place right now, I recommend setting up some sort of uptime monitoring tool like Status Cake and connecting it to an alerting tool like PagerDuty. You'll be surprised how easy it is to add new alerts once you have the first one set up. Getting the first one set up is key. Let me know in the comments below which metric you picked and any questions you have with alerting or monitoring. If you like this video, please hit like and hit subscribe and catch me in the next video.